Shubha Deepavali or Shubha Diwali. That is how my Bengali friends have always wished me when we met on Diwali. Just like in most of the India, Diwali means Lakshmi Puja in Bengal. And very few places in India celebrate sweets like the Bengalis do. In my kitchen, if there's that one Bengali dish that really says Diwali besides the Rasgulla, it is Sandesh. Let's make Sandesh and celebrate Diwali the West Bengal way. The essence of making a beautiful Sandesh is full cream milk. And I have a little tip over here. In order to make the creamiest of chenna, or as we call it in Australia, ricotta, the trick is to add a little bit of yogurt or curd, as we call it in India, onto your boiling milk. And what you want is to bring this milk to a boil. And as the milk is boiling, we then will add a little bit of yogurt and some lemon juice. It's very important that as the milk is boiling, you stir it a little bit. That'll stop from it getting caught at the bottom and making slight brown specks. The milk is coming to a gentle boil, and that is the point where you would want the flame to be a little lower and not excessively boil the milk. The difference between making a chewy paneer and a nice soft chenna is controlling the temperature of the milk. I'm gonna cut the heat now, and I'll add some curds or yogurt, and you can see that it starts curdling almost immediately into the paneer, in with the lemon juice, and magic. If the paneer does not form or it does not curdle, you can always add a little bit more of lemon juice or some citric acid or some vinegar, but in this case it's clearly worked. So we need to be very fast to take that whey out, cool it down, and then just firm it up for 30 minutes in the fridge. Just pour in all of this into the cheesecloth. This needs to be washed a little so that the acidity goes out of the chenna and it becomes sweeter. So I'm gonna keep this aside for 30 minutes with some weight on top of it into the fridge, and that's when the next part begins. This part of making Sandesh is my favorite bit, and that's why I've got to be prepared. A man needs his armor. So the chenna or the paneer had been resting nicely in the fridge for 30 odd minutes, and it's firmed up. Now I'm gonna just put it into this bowl and we'll start the process of kneading. Now the key is to get this chenna or paneer softened with your hands. It's smelling very nice, creamy, and this is when we add a tiny bit of crushed cardamom seeds. We're gonna add some more when we are cooking it, but at this point of time I find that it kind of permeates the grain much better. Now it looks reasonably smooth at the moment, and you feel it because at this stage it stops sticking onto your hand and it feels just a little oily, not smudgy, but just a little bit, and it comes off the fingers pretty well. Now in goes the sugar. I also like to add just a tiny bit of salt. It's not very traditional to do that, but what the salt does is it not just cuts through the richness of this dish, but it also elevates any of the spices that you put in later. In our case, it's going to be cardamom. The moment you add the sugar, you'll see that it starts to disintegrate a little bit more. That's normal. That happens to any sweet dish that calls for sugar. It's all going to come together when we heat it. I've got a nice pan heating over here. You got to be very careful while making sandesh or like heating it. The flame has to be very low, very gentle, and you just take the mixture from the bowl as much as you possibly can. And now it's all about cooking the mixture till it looks a little smooth. But the key is to do it on a very gentle heat. At this stage, it'll start to melt a little bit, and look as if it's disintegrating. That's all right. As it cools down, it'll start to come back together, and then you can make the shape that you desire, or you can just add a little bit of milk powder right at the end for it to hold the shape. We'll add a tiny bit of cardamom. I'm just adding the crushed cardamom seeds. I'm keeping the floral bit away. It does not give a great mouthfeel when you're eating it, but the cardamom seeds, I tend to keep them slightly coarse. To me, it brings a little bit more texture. That is almost done. We'll just wait for it to cool a little bit and then form the final shapes. One of the tricks to make this sandesh a little bit more delicate, creamy, is to shape them and then just dunk it in a bit of milk powder. It's not very traditional, I know, but hey, it's Diwali, let's have fun. So I've just made these into a little bit of a laddu. That's what we call tiny round sweets in India. I'll roll the second one in some pistachios, crushed pistachios. You could use some crushed almonds as well. In the refrigerator, this stuff can stay for about a week, and it's highly recommended that after you've made it, cool it down in the fridge, finish it off in about a week's time. I will finish the rest of these, and I think we are ready to party.